There are children who are growing up in urban communities who are 4 grade levels behind their peers. Great teaching can make a difference in closing that gap.
If teachers are the single most important ingredient in improving student learning, what is it that we have to do to ensure that they are as talented as they possibly can be?
We have to ensure that leaders are creating environments where teachers feel like they can be successful and want to stay. Then you provide them with the tools and the resources that they need, the technology that they need to be successful. By training and professionally developing them, and then you let them go, magic happens. And our job is to ensure that as much magic is happening in as many classrooms as possible, because we've gotten the right teachers in place and we've gotten the right principals to lead schools.
Good morning, 302. Those of you who don't have breakfast, you can start on your journal right away.
Districts have to be intentional about leveraging the strategies that are going to get and keep great people. It doesn't just happen organically. It's important to train your teachers and provide them with feedback in terms of how they are teaching and how they are progressing so that they can continue to get better.
We must be quick or we will miss the sun getting up. Coming in, I believe that I wanted to conquer the world, and I still do, but I felt extremely nervous in the beginning.
We forget it's tough to be a new teacher in America. I mean, first of all, you come into the profession and you can hardly wait to be the best that you can be. Then you're given just the toughest context to be in. We have to make sure that we support their development over time.
I do want to introduce you to one of my friends who is another teacher. Her name is Miss Patel. She is going to be coming in here to come work with us and help us out in the classroom. So what do we say to visitors? Welcome! Welcome, Miss Patel.
The New Teacher Center has been in Chicago for the past 5 years. The main goal for us is to support our beginning teachers to accelerate their practice in order to increase student achievement. I was there, I've been through that, I know exactly what they need and what kinds of things are really going to support them to be successful in the first year.
Having a mentor, I think, is something that has been tremendously helpful. I've learned so many different things that I wouldn't even have known, such as different techniques that I could use in the classroom. Close your eyes, Alexis, close your eyes and choose. Who is it? Mariana. The students are definitely going to benefit because if the teacher is confident in what she's doing, then I feel that radiates to the children as well.
The mentors that we work with in every single city are the best and the brightest and the most talented teachers. We teach them then how to be the best teachers of teachers. We're talking about accelerating learning for these new teachers. And by doing that, we're helping them build the habits of mind and dispositions of the best and brightest in our profession.
Has anyone in this room had a flawless year? You've taught without interruption the whole year? Right? Kids never were rude to you? Kids were prepared every day?
The Relay School of Education approaches the question of teacher preparation somewhat differently, and that it works with teachers who are already in the classroom and who are pursuing what would traditionally be seen as a master's degree in a school of education in their quote-unquote free time as teachers while they're teaching a full-time load.
We want our teachers at the end of the program to be able to show at least a year's worth of growth in their students in order for them to earn their master's degree.
Look at the core of its curriculum, they've drawn it from what are the practices of just very highly effective teachers, and how do you train folks who are just very early in their career as teachers or aspiring to become teachers to develop those practices.
You should practice these things before you do them. It's going to be memorable that your students are going to, at the end of the year, remember that demonstration.
What's the definition of theme? Raise your hand. Okay, it's a life lesson. Somebody give me another definition. The moral of a story, somebody else give me.
I became a teacher initially because I just loved kids. Over the years, and this is my 7th year teaching, my reasons have changed. I want to change the way kids think. specifically inner city kids, their outlook on success, their outlook on education.
In the beginning of the story, before Juliet even came along, Romeo was supposed to marry Rosaline.
I came to Anacostia High School because I wanted to give back to my community, come back into the inner city. The year that I came, they had started something called Impact. I thought I was a pretty good teacher. However, the evaluation process is very different from the school that I came from. The scale goes from non-effective to highly effective. So throughout the school year, my scores were minimally effective, extremely low, and that was just devastating. The instructional coach, we became like so close because I literally would send her lesson plans and say, okay, what do I need to do differently? She would come in the classroom and model lessons for me. And I told her, I said, I'm gonna harass you the entire school year until I see a change. And by the end of the year, like my final score was a 3.0. And to go from a 1.7, you know, barely making minimally effective, if I might add, to a 3 effective and a strong effective was just, it was wonderful. I felt like a better teacher. I felt like, you know, I was a better person for these kids. I felt like they were actually learning.
Fourth grade, are you the best grade in Southeast Academy? If you don't have an effective leader, you don't have effective teachers who don't move students, who don't achieve.
The leader creates an environment where the teacher can be successful or creates an environment where the teacher struggles to be successful. Great principals build cultures in schools that are welcoming and where everybody can be successful.
Good morning, Miss Price's class. Good morning, how are you? I was living in downtown Baltimore City, and I was teaching in Southwest Baltimore, which is one of the poorest communities in Baltimore City, and I was robbed at gunpoint by 3 high school students. They appeared to be no more than 14 years old. And the entire time I thought to myself that these were my students. And although I didn't know them per se, I was teaching students like them on a daily basis. And it became my goal and it became my life's work to make sure that anybody that I came in contact with did not end up like that. But being a principal, I can affect district-wide and nationwide, and just affect more than just the people that I see every day. And that's really the reason why I joined New Leaders.
We need to do everything in our power to change the culture. The fundamental point of this 10:30 to 11:30 hour is to give you a slew of ideas that will either make or break what you do. And that is the degree to which you reduce isolation amongst the faculty in your school.
Being able to actually take what I'm learning here and apply it in real world situations is going to be phenomenal.
Dukes up. Southeast Scholars, here we go. Let me hear the 8s roll.
8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, 80.
My New Leaders mentor is pretty much putting me in the trenches. He's giving me the real deal, what the expectation will be as a principal. I spend the majority of the time in the classrooms with the teachers, talking about lessons, observing them, giving them feedback in the moment or directly after.
What I want to talk to you guys about is the difference between poetry and prose.
Sometimes it's more valuable to figure out that wrong answer out loud so that people can see the process. That's a great way to push their thinking and move them along. As an aspiring principal, it's really important that you do a lot of reflection, and New Leaders just gives us the space to do that, to say, what am I doing that works? What am I doing that doesn't work? And how am I going to fix it? New Leaders has been life-changing.
Technology is an important innovation to the teaching profession. It has the ability to help teachers differentiate. So when you have a classroom full of kids at different levels, what technology allows you to do is create different levels of lessons and different types of engagement for your students. We see children who come alive when technology is actually a part of the equation.
It's a math website where you can go and do different levels of math, and you get proficient in different levels, and then you move on to harder math.
Instead of me wondering how my kids are doing, I know instantaneously how they're doing. What I do is I circle the room with my iPad, with that instant data on my iPad, so I can know where the kids are and I can intervene. If I'm seeing a lot of red, I can click on that red and it takes me to the exact problem that that child was struggling with. Let me ask you this, I'm going to pose a question to you. Move your stinky sock there. Okay.
We see this incredible potential to change what's happening in a classroom, and that a child can be learning at his or her own level, with teachers still aiming to have them all acquire the same knowledge by the end of the year, just going at their own pace.
Remember, that crosses out.
What naturally came out were kids learning how to peer tutor one another all on their own. It just naturally happened without me having to even show them how. It has changed the way I teach because it's given me another tool so I can focus on what they actually need and when they need it. It has allowed me to reach every one of my kids.
Yeah, there she goes. The con. Very good. It starts with the Wednesday.
If every single young person in America was taught by an excellent teacher every single year and was in a school that was led by an excellent principal, you would see poverty rates decrease. You would see innovation and industry, because people who haven't even yet been brought to bear on America's most vexing problems would now be in play in our culture.
Closing the achievement gap is the most important civil rights movement of our time. So the idea is not just to teach, but to teach in low-income communities and to make a difference in the lives of students in need.
You can look across the country and see schools, not just individual classrooms and individual schools, but systems of schools that truly are educating all kids to a very high level.
Every child should be able to live out his or her dreams. Great, talented teachers help children meet those dreams.